Try not to antagonise me. We have to talk about the derby.
Just remember, Sam. Juve beat Man City.
Yeah.
Roma drew with Barca,
Yeah.
and you all lost to Derby.
we are live.
Welcome to the special ones.
And now we're back.
Amazing. Thank you guys. Welcome to the special one Serie A hangout. We're already underway. Screaming into pillows. Adam is trolling. Greg is calm as always. But thank you for joining us. I'm Aaron West. I'm here with Adam Digby, Greg Cimilluca, Sam Lewis. Let's jump right into it, boys. How we feeling?
I was in a really good mood about 2 minutes ago. and now not so much, because Adam's just turned up with his hoodie and his Juventus fanship, and it's like, oh yeah, your team's successful, and mine is just a dumpster fire. Did you read the news today? Not today, actually, the other day, that Milan have decided to pull out of the stadium deal. Did you read that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck is that all about? Why would you agree to something and then set it up, and then the administrator's like, yeah, you can have this stadium, it's a great opportunity. The Milan are just like, nah, we'll just make no money instead. That's great. Who made that decision? Who made that decision? Like, is it the guy that likes the tea in San Siro that much that, like, actually, can we just stay here? It's nice. I know that there's a McDonald's just over there, and I can walk 5 minutes to my... Do you know what I mean? Who's making these decisions? It's just astonishing to me, and it's going beyond the football. This team is just laughable. It's Galliani saying, "Oh, this situation's unique." Yeah, it's unique because you don't know what you're doing, and most other football teams have someone that knows what they're doing, and that's why this is unique because this is just something that should have been sorted years ago. That's why. Just. Oh my god, every week I'm just slowly turning into Stephen A. Smith to the point where just the hairline is just going to slowly recede, as is my self-respect and esteem. It's just only a matter of time before I start saying, I'm just going to say it, okay? And then that's just how we're going to go from there. And all of a sudden I'm going to say the wrong thing, and someone's going to, call me out on Twitter, and then I don't know what's going to happen.
You're going to become famous. It's all you have to do is say one or two controversial things a week, and people will tune in just to hate on you. And that's how you
I've got the skin of Skip Bayless, but the opinions of Stephen A. Smith. How about that?
His own pretty shitty opinion. So
Hasty A. Smith is the new version of me. There we go.
So we know how Sam is feeling about Milan right now.
I was actually positive about the derby performance, but we'll get to that later.
We will. Yeah, that is one solid positive. Now, probably the one Juventini have a lot of cause to feel good after that Manchester City win, but Roma coming off a great win against Juve, then a routine kind of win against Frosinone, and a draw coming from behind to draw the European champions, Barcelona. What a game that was, number one. What a strike from Alessandro Florenzi. What a great performance. Greg, how are you feeling about your team right now?
I think it was a very appropriately weighted match against Barca. I mean, they are susceptible when you look at their back line, which you would think would tend to play to Roma's strengths with the way that they like to counter. But Garcia took a different approach and really wanted to kind of stifle their front three, who he feels rightfully so outweighed our back line. So very good defensive effort. Rudiger is slowly growing into the Roma squad. Had some decent plays, had some less so stellar plays. I think he's a little shaky with the ball at his feet right now, but positionally he seemed to be in decent place. Overall, when I look at the team, I mean, the Frosinone game was not fantastic. It was not wonderful, but it was 3 points. Last year, that's probably a draw, so that's a positive. But when I look at the team overall, I think they're slowly growing into themselves. I think they probably overachieved a little bit against Juve for this portion of the season. That was a great performance, and when you look at everything else they've done, it hasn't quite been at that level. But I think, like I said, slowly they're kind of coming into who they are. Digne is, really kind of shoring up a little bit of that left side. I mean, he got beat a couple times by Messi, but who doesn't, right? So I think they're starting to form a little bit of an identity, and I'm very curious to see how they do this weekend against Sassuolo.
Yeah, absolutely. Messi is okay, I guess. Like, he might struggle for many minutes.
He's no Morata.
he's no Alvaro Morata, but he's decent on his day. But yeah, man, what a result for Roma, and just in general for Italy. You kind of see, like, you guys kind of see maybe this fourth spot is coming back. We've seen all the English teams, aside from Chelsea, struggle in Europe. English teams are not typically, they haven't been doing great in Europa League like Italian teams are kind of shunning it in years past. But is this fourth spot, is it coming back, Adam? What do you think? Looks like we might have lost Adam for a second. Sam, what do you think? Is this fourth spot coming back for Serie A?
I think it might take a while, but I'd like to think so. As an Englishman, I like to see the English media scrabble for reasons as to why they're not doing so well in the Champions League. Oh, it's because they're not developing home players. It's because they're not buying the right players, and it's because they're not buying the right foreign players. And I just don't think it's really quite strange. It seems to be a monogamous thing. It's a collection of things. I don't think that by and large the European coaches in England seem to really adapt their teams well for Europe. I don't know what it is. Like Manchester City are a well-built side, they're a well-purchased side, they're a well-balanced team, but they don't seem to put it together in Europe, and I still can't quite figure it out. They seem to have the same defensive lapses. Chelsea, a team that have done pretty well in the Champions League, but still quite disappointing, are an example of how the solidity works. And I think the natural intention of English teams to be attacking and open, that doesn't feed very well into Europe by and large. Whereas Roma, who were very solid, I thought, by and large, against a very great Barcelona side. And I thought Szczesny was fantastic as well until it all went pear-shaped with his finger. I think that's the blueprint to go for. It's rather to draw and not lose than to go for a win in Europe. And I think the English teams still haven't quite figured that out yet. But as far as I can tell, it's really hard to figure it out because of the talent on show. But I do hope that the fourth place comes back for Italy. And if it carries on this, the Europa League is the key thing. Because it has to be a duopoly because they're as valuable as each other. If that continues, then yeah, Italy have a chance. But at the moment, it's still a couple of years away. But this is a very good indication. Excuse me.
Yeah, Adam?
Yeah, I think Sam makes a lot of valid points. I think City are sort of going through what Juve did like before last season, where you just struggle to take that domestic form into Europe. And I don't think their tactics help. They seem more than anything like they play 4-4-2, which just isn't ever going to cut it in Europe. And as good as David Silva is, playing that formation just really doesn't help you. I mean, we saw it with Juve back in the Capello era. You just can't get away with playing that formation against three midfielders. The Europa League, that really is the way Serie A is going to catch back up to the Premiership. And I think because of the money in the Premier League, it's better for their teams to concentrate on finishing higher up the table and try shoot for that Champions League place. Because it's worth more money. There's just not enough money in the Europa League, and in Serie A that's not the case. And it's kind of swings and roundabouts, because when Serie A had 4 places, they neglected the Europa League and lost that 4th place. And now there's a 4th place available via the Europa League. Those teams who would be battling for 4th are now trying to win the Europa League and get into the Champions League that way, which is great for the other sides, and it could well lead to that 4th place coming back. I think it's difficult because the English teams are so highly seeded, but it seems to be getting nearer and nearer for sure.
Yeah. Greg, you have any additional thoughts on that, or are we good to move on?
I mean, these guys spoke much more eloquently than I can on the subject, but obviously, getting that spot back would be significant. I do kind of like the way that Serie A has kind of managed under the three-spot system. I think, looking at the making it into Europe has become. It seems like there's a little bit higher importance by those teams fighting for those last few Europa League spots, and you see the Torinos of the world, and Samp and everybody like fighting on the last few weeks, and I think it's added a little bit of strength in terms of aiming towards that parity that Serie A has that some of the other leagues don't, and just looking at the standings before we started recording. It's a little bit scary. I mean, there's a lot of teams bunched at that top, not too many points away from each other. And while Juve is not there right now, they're going to be. So it doesn't make it easy, even though it's so early in the season, to sit there and say, okay, all right, we're under control. The teams that are at the top should be at the top. The teams that are in the middle are the normal middles, and the teams at the bottom are the normal bottom. Everybody kind of wants a piece of that pie, and if you extend it out to that fourth Champions League spot, I think it's only going to be better for the overall health of the league.
I just add one more point to that as well. Is the biggest thing about Serie A getting 4 places back would mean that 3 of them are automatic group stage places, and as we've seen in the past few seasons, the team who finishes third really just can't get over the hump, and that would be massive for Serie A to have that third team in the group stage every year guaranteed.
Yeah, the comfort of being able to go into the summer and purchase the players that you need to have the finances and know that you're going in the group stage rather than having to fight at the beginning of the year and prepare a little bit earlier. Yeah, that comfort is absolutely vital. Now this weekend we've got all 3 of our teams playing. Milan on Saturday takes on Palermo. How you feeling about that one, Sam?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's time for me to reach for my prop to talk about Milan. I think this is appropriately timed. It's a full bottle of vodka with a note sticks on the top of it that just says "for Milan discussion," and I've kept specifications. Yeah.
Sam.
Yes.
What did you drink in the second half?
There's a bottle of bleach in the bathroom for that. So.
Right.
I'm feeling okay about Palermo actually, because despite the result in the derby, I was actually pretty pleased with the performance. I thought Milan could have really had 2 or 3 goals in the first 20 or 25 minutes had Luis Adriano not forgotten that he was actually paid to score goals, not miss them. And then I thought the midfield was quite productive, despite the fact that when I saw the lineup, I was like, whoa, no, De Jong, what's going on? And then after that, I was thinking there was a very offensive lineup, with Honda and Bonaventura and Kuchka, and I thought the defence might be a little bit of a struggle. They were impressive against what was a dangerous inter-forward line. And overall, I thought they were very solid, and when Inter tried to get the counter-attack going in the derby, I thought Milan were quite resilient towards that. It was only a worrying wayward shot that really gave into the lead. It was quite disappointing that Milan didn't come away with at least a point. So, with the performance being good against a very good side in Inter, hoping that continues, I would like to see 3 points, and I would hopefully expect nothing less at this stage, because it's well and good talking about performance aspect, but the closer we get to October, November, December, it's points that matter more than performances, and I'm hoping that Milan start recognising that soon.
Right. That's very fair. What's your prediction for the match?
I am going to say 2-1 to Milan. And I think they're going to go 2-0 up before the hour, and then they're going to relax because they always do. And then Palermo will score in like the 75th minute, make it really nervous and awkward. But Milan will play well for the first hour. And I'm going to say it's going to be Bacca will score and a midfielder, maybe Bonaventura. Or maybe Balotelli. He played really well.
Yeah. Now, Greg, we've got Roma taking on Sassuolo. They're level on the table, both on 7 points. Sassuolo, as we know, can be a very dangerous team, but I mean, we would expect Roma to win, especially at home. How are you feeling about that match?
I think I'll just continue on the points I was making before. I want to see the team continue to develop and continue to work on the identity that they seem to be forging for themselves, and put in a really strong performance. Outside of Juve in Serie A, they haven't had a great performance yet. So I want to really see them just play very, very well. Continue to work on their link-up play, which has been improving. I'm curious to see the lineup. I'm curious to see if they can string together some solid offensive play that doesn't involve Falque, Dzeko, and Salah on the pitch. I'm not saying that they won't be out there come Sunday, but that's something that I think they need to show that they can do. I'm hoping for a nice, solid 2-0 win.
All right. Now, Adam, Juve plays this weekend, obviously, taking on Genoa away from home. Genoa is always a tough opponent, especially at home. We've got Juve coming off a huge victory against Man City in Champions League, coming from 1-0 down. How are you feeling about this match going in? It's kind of a different outlook now for Juve supporters, I feel. Now that we've got a win in Champions League, a big win at that, and now we're going back to Serie A. How are you feeling about this one this weekend?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I think, like I said, after when Juve lost to Roma before the break, it was Juve just needed some time to get their squad together, get their shit together, and just start rolling. And I think you watch that performance against Man City on Tuesday, and it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like a part of Star Wars where the Imperial March starts and Darth Vader comes through the automatic doors. You can just hear the rest of Serie A going, oh, shit.
I love how even Juventus fans think Juventus are the bad guys. I love that. You could have put Millennium Falcon,
we don't think...
Skywalker. I love how yep. Everyone hates us. We're the evil guys.
We have embraced it at this point.
That's
we
amazing.
know
Agnelli's the Emperor.
Know it. It's just seriously, beautiful. It's great. I would probably go with Luciano Moggi as being the Emperor, but nah, I'll take that with Agnelli.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I think as much as you want to cheer for all the Italian teams in Serie A, I think the rest of the league sort of had this 3-week head start, and then you just look at them turning over Man City, and it was the manner of the goals as well. I mean, Pogba was fantastic with that ball to Mandzukic. That was Mandzukic at his best. The run into the box, the brilliant touch on his volley to finish it, and then Morata with a goal almost out of nothing. He was just chasing the high ball, it bounced his way, turned around, got there first, bang, 2-1. And that really is, as a Juve fan, you think, yes, a win, here we go again. And the rest of Serie A has just got to be dropping their head into their hands and thinking, okay, they're back. And they need to show that as well. Now they've got Genoa on Sunday, then they play Frosinone at home on Wednesday, and then it's Napoli after that, and then Sevilla, who have been in poor form so far this season. So there's an opportunity to put a nice little run together, and I think it's just one of those things, isn't it? When Juve were weak and vulnerable, you could see it in Chievo. They knew they could come to Turin and get a result, and they played really, really well. But if Juve have got 4 or 5 wins in a row, you've almost beaten some of those teams before you even kick off the game, I think. If you want to carry the bad guy analogy further, it's like when guys used to fight Mike Tyson, they'd walk to the ring knowing they were already beaten, and Tyson would play up to it. And that's how it is with Juve. You get some wins, and then teams don't really want to play you. And Serie A is a tough place because before the Man City game, you come off that Chievo loss and you think, man, Genoa away, that's difficult, and then Frosinone will be coming looking for a win, and Sam will have gone through it last season. Greg will have gone through it a couple of seasons back when Roma was struggling. God knows we as Juve fans have gone through it with the Ranieri and the end of Ranieri, the Ciro Ferrara. Just every fixture starts to look difficult. But once you get those positive results like Tuesday night, every fixture starts to look like it should be 3 points. And that's hopefully where Juve are now. There was a lot of positive noises on Tuesday from Morata and Buffon and Allegri all saying our season starts now, which has gone through for 2 weeks. But hopefully now is now.
Yeah, now we've got a, as weird as it sounds, a table-topping matchup in Inter and Chievo on Sunday, the lunchtime fixture. Uh, like Adam said, the table at this point doesn't really matter, but are Inter real tighter contenders? We've got a question from Twitter from Vince Van Genekten. Is Inter really a Scudetto favorite, or have they just been lucky so far? How do you guys feel about that? Sam, we'll go to you first as the the other side of Milan. How do you think? What do you think about that? Are they a real title contender?
I think they're definitely proving that they can get wins in difficult scenarios, and I think if you look at the way that they've played, managed to get the results without actually playing particularly well, you think that, wow, when that starts to click, that could be even better, that could be even more dangerous. And yeah, in a word, I do think that could be title contenders, because I look at Napoli, they're going through some struggles that I didn't anticipate them going through. Juventus are obviously on the way back, but, you know, they still have to do some catching up at the moment. Roma have started well, but I would still like to see how well they're playing in a few months rather than right now. It could be just the fresh start of the season, getting their backs up. But, you know, you want to see how consistent it is. And Inter have an opportunity here. They have lots and lots of talent. And Roberto Mancini, say what you like about him as a tactician as a whole, he knows this league and he knows how to get results in this league. And if this starts to click, then they might not be winning games by 1 or 2 goals. They might be winning them by 3 or 4, especially if Jovetic and Icardi start working it out together and that midfield starts to click. So I think they have all the potential in the world to be genuine title contenders. I want to see it actually come together, because at the moment they're not playing particularly great, and I think they took advantage of a Milan side that couldn't really finish the chances that were given to them. I think on a different day Milan might have won that. So we'll see how things turn out when circumstances are a little bit different. But for the moment, if they're grinding out results, then I would like to see it click, but I think it has every chance to do so. And yes, I do think they're Scudetto challengers at the moment.
Right, Greg?
After witnessing Roma's start a few years ago, where, you know, they won, was it 10 straight or whatever it was, you know, I've learned, not that I was crowning them at that point in time either, but certainly, you know, how that season ended up, and you look at the fact that it's just such a long haul, and so many things can happen, injuries, just, you know, form shifts and things like that. I'm hesitant to, you know, christen them anything this early, as I would be anybody, with the exception of if Juve had the same start, then I would say that, you know, they're in very good position to just continue doing what they've done the last few years. And rightfully so, right? Nobody has been able to stop them. So I could definitely concede on that point. But you have to be excited about what they're doing if you're an Inter fan or just a fan of Serie A in general. They had some really smart players come in, and those players are doing what, you know, you hope them to do, at least somewhat early on. So they have to continue to do that in a very difficult league. So this is kind of like check back with me in a month or so, and let's see how they're doing, and if they've been able to maintain. They don't have to win every single game, but let's see if they've been able to maintain this kind of play and generally getting the results week in, week out that a team that has, you know, 9 out of 3 would you know, kind of hope and expect them to do.
Yeah, Adam. Looks like it might be oh, there we go.
Yeah, for me, 2 points really. I think the first one is Inter and Roma. I put them both in the same position at the moment. And they're playing really well. Everything looks great. Let's see what happens when things don't go great. It was really good to see Roma pull off a win last week, because they didn't play well against Frosinone but found a way. Inter did the same thing in the first couple of weeks. They sneaked out some wins, but as we saw with when Roma got turned over by Juve last October, and then their title challenge sort of fell apart. Inter and Mancini, we've seen it before from them too. It's that mental toughness to react to adversity, and I don't think either have been through that yet this season. And as we've just seen with Juve this week, that's when it really counts, is standing up and being counted when things go wrong. And then the second point is that yes, I would say both are title contenders to answer the question, but there is a very, very different thing between contending for the title and actually going on to win it. You can even look good until March and April, but being in it right until the very end and having a genuine challenge, as Greg can attest with Roma, it's a tough thing to do, especially when you're coming from as far back as Inter have done over the past few seasons, where they're having to make a huge leap forward this year to go from sort of mid-table to be fighting at the top.
Yeah, and to that point, there's a completely different pressure when you're playing up there and something doesn't go your way versus if you're mid-table, as Adam points out, Inter has been, and something doesn't go your way there, you're like, oh well, no big deal. We're still in the absolute nothing place that we were in a week ago. Whereas when you're fighting for that top, man, any slip, I mean, even with the loss to Juve last year, there was a bit of a back and forth where both teams seemed to want to let the other team get a chance to kind of climb back in it. And, it wasn't until Roma hit that series of draws that they couldn't get out of that Juve really just kind of propelled themselves way out of reach for Roma. And that's the kind of thing that we're talking about here. Inter has not faced anything like that. We don't know how they're going to react. They have talented players. They have players that have been successful in Serie A. They have Mancini, who's been successful in Serie A. So there are ingredients there. But as we've seen with lots of great teams, the ingredients that can always be there, but it really depends on how everything works out. What are they going to do when they face adversity? So those are really excellent additional points, Adam.
Yeah, and I think to carry that on a little bit further as well, that you look at like now Inter top of the table. It's not even when you lose; it's with a few draws. Juve or Roma can catch them up and overtake them, and it's how you react to that too. Losing that top spot, it's great to be number one, but when you get knocked off, you've got to pick yourself back up. And I think when Greg was talking before about Roma's great start when they won 10 consecutive wins at the start of the season, after that, a couple of games later, Juve overtook them at the top, and then again, Roma failed to react, and that's really key, is how you react when you get knocked off. And that's what we need to see from this season from both Inter and Roma, if they can react positively to that. And you can't write either of them off because they're both right there, and it's just a what if at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with you fully on that. I think at this point, obviously, like you guys said very rightfully, we don't know what they're going to look like after they face adversity, injuries, drop off in form, all the things that happen throughout a season to determine a season. But I think right now, on the strength of what we've seen, I think they can be a real contender. They don't have to deal with Europe, which is a big thing, especially when you're pushing for a title. They've got a fairly deep squad. They've got a competent manager in Mancini. They've got a player. They've got some really they've got some champions in that team. They've got quality throughout the team. They've got depth. So I think Inter is one as we continue through the season to look for. I think Greg put it very, very well. Let's see where they are in a month. They have to play some tough fixtures coming up. They've got obviously Chievo is not necessarily the toughest, but they are sitting high in the league. They've got Fiorentina. They've got in the middle of October. They've got Juventus as well. So they've got some matches where we're going to kind of really see what they're made out of, and from there we'll be able to kind of make more of a decision or see where they're really going to end up. All right. Well, I think. And you guys have anything else you want to chat about? I think other than that, like we've covered all our topics. Sam, any more rants?
Yeah,
Please.
I'm okay for now. I'm trying not to get as antagonised as possible. Otherwise, me and Glenn, the name of my vodka, are going to spend a very, very long night together. Otherwise, and,
all right.
I'm not too.
Name your vodka after a scotch.
Well, whatever works for you, man. I'm spending my night with the White Russian tonight, so it's all good.
All right. Well, I think that'll just about do it. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks to Adam, Greg, Sam. This is the special ones. I am Aaron West. Enjoy you guys' weekend. Watch the footy and love it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.